If you're writing a $400,000 or even $1.2 million tax check every year and still feel oddly unsupervised, you're not crazy. Most high earners aren't overpaying because they're sloppy. They're overpaying because nobody is driving the whole plan. I'm the person who gets called when the CPA is done. Wealth managers rebalancing. The attorneys waiting on your tax numbers. And you're sitting there thinking, so who's actually accountable? I'm not the loudest advisor in the room. I'm the one who keeps the room from working against you. Right now, your tax life is probably a patchwork. W-2 or business income, equity comp, maybe real estate, maybe charitable giving, and a few entities that grow over time. The issue isn't effort. It's that every professional is doing their slice, and the slices don't add up to a coordinated outcome. I've sat across from founders and executives who look totally put together, and then they quietly say, I'm scared. I might be missing something big here. Not because they don't have advisors, maybe because they have too many. Each one confident, each one partial. And when the year ends, the only plan is a tax return and a sigh. That feeling of being exposed is what I fix first. Here's the shift. You go from guessing and reacting to having a written, engineered tax reduction blueprint with real numbers and clean sequencing. You stop juggling disconnected advisors and start operating with one coordinated team. And you keep a lot more of what you earn, often in the 6 or 7 figures, without doing anything sketchy. I call it the orchestrated tax reduction system. It works because the biggest wins don't come from one clever tactic. They come from stacking the right strategies in the right order across tax, legal, investments, risk, and legacy. If you don't solve the coordination problem, the penalties aren't just financial. You lose optionality. You can't time income, and you can't structure exits cleanly. I pull from a network of 73 vetted specialists, but the real difference is orchestration. One captain, one plan, one scoreboard. That's how you prevent conflicts, missed elections, and we'll look at that next year, becoming your default. When this is done correctly, you stop dreading bonus years, RSU vesting, liquidity events, or a big capital gain. You know what's happening before it happens, and you've already decided what you're going to be doing about it. Cash flow improves because you're not feeding the IRS out of a habit. And you stop hearing 5 different opinions that don't match because the plan is unified. If you don't solve the coordination problem, the penalties aren't just financial. You lose optionality. You can't time income, and you can't structure exits cleanly. You can't align charitable goals with tax reality, and you end up locking in avoidable taxes for sometimes years. The longer the entities and accounts grow without a master plan, the harder it is to unwind. And the worst part is the surprise, an audit later, an AMT, an IIT hit, or a prior year mess nobody wants to own. One of the moments that shaped how I work happened with a business owner back in 2007. He walks in with the CPA, and there's an unexpected $5 million tax bill the IRS is pressing. The CPA isn't fighting it, and the client's staring at a pay it and move on decision that would have changed his whole company. So I start calling specialists. The client and the CPA didn't have time to vet, and we built a coordinated 4 to 5 member team at that time. We restructured the corporate setup into a tax-free corporation, create internal executive benefit plans, and instead of sending $5 million to the IRS at that point in time, he extracts an extra $4 million in bonuses and keeps 179 employees working. I've seen families go from a generic divide, defer, dump, and dissipate probate avoidance trust to a multi-generational, merit-based, purpose-driven dynasty trust structure that actually protects the family story, not just the assets. I've watched a client eliminate $1 million in tax liability tied to an IRA by pairing smart planning with offsets so the conversion doesn't become a grenade. Another family reduced a $120,000 tax hit to zero by layering 3 strategies that only work when the timing is coordinated. And I've seen $750,000 in capital gains tax disappear by dividing the portfolio across 3 specialists, high, medium, and low risk, who actually collaborate instead of competing. My specialist bench is 73 deep across tax mitigation, legal structuring, investments, risk, and legacy planning. The clients I work with are typically earning $1.5 million to $5 million and paying $250,000 to $2.5 million in annual total taxes. So small percentage improvements turn into real money fast. With proper layering, many outcomes land north of a 50% reduction in their taxes when the facts support it. The creditability here isn't a celebrity quote. Sorry, it's that nationally recognized specialists agree to be in the same room and follow one coordinated plan. When your CPA, attorney, and investment people can all sign off on the sequencing without stepping on each other, that's the marker. And everything is built to hold up under scrutiny because nobody wins when a strategy collapses in an audit. You start with a deep diagnostic review, not a surface level chat. We examine returns, entity structure, compensation, equity events, K1s, real estate, charitable intent, estate documents, insurance, and investment positioning. Then we map the gaps and the conflicts. You get a written report that spells out what's happening, what's being missed, and what the highest leveraged moves are with numbers attached. From there, we build a layered tax remediation plan, plus a broader financial growth plan that connects business goals to family legacy. Then your concierge, often me, assembles the right specialists and keeps implementation moving with quarterly reviews to track targets and accountability. In real life, it feels like this. You show up to one meeting. You're not translating between professionals. We run the agenda, document decisions, assign next actions, and confirm what changes in your tax picture if you choose option A versus option B. Your CPA isn't guessing what the attorney drafted. Your investment decisions aren't accidentally creating taxes your planning was trying to avoid. And you're never left wondering, wait, who owns this? I don't take on unlimited clients because orchestration is hands-on and confidentiality matters. Most people who reach out, frankly, they're not a fit, and that's fine. The ones who are a fit tend to stay for years because they finally have a system instead of a pile of opinions. So before I tell you how to work with me, let me give you 3 practical moves you can use to spot leaks and prevent ugly surprises. You can do these even if you keep your current advisors. Tip number 1, the who's the quarterback test. If you can't name one person responsible for the integrated outcome, you don't have a plan. You have a group project. Tax strategy fails most often in the handoff. CPA assumes the attorney handled it. The attorney assumes the wealth manager funded it. The wealth manager assumes the CPA modeled it. Coordination is a strategy by itself, and it's usually the missing one. The goal is a single written roadmap that every advisor can follow without contradicting each other. Action step: send one email to your CPA, attorney, and wealth manager. Who is coordinating our tax, legal, and investment decisions as one plan, and where is that plan written down? If your answers don't match, you found the leak. Then ask for a single-page summary of the current year strategy and who owns each implementation step. Tip number 2, build a next 18 months tax event calendar. High earners don't get hurt by normal income. They get hit by clustered events, bonus timing, RSU vesting, option exercises, and business distribution. A property sale here, a big charitable gift, or a change in residency. When these events aren't mapped in advance, you miss elections and deadlines that can't be fixed later. A simple calendar forces proactive choices instead of December panic. It also reveals when a liquidity event is going to collide with AMT your NIIT exposure. Your next step, open your calendar and list every known event for the next 18 months. Vesting dates, expected bonuses, planned asset sales, business distributions, and any move between states. Then ask your CPA for a quick model of 3 scenarios: baseline, best case planning, and worst case if nothing changes. And if they can't model it, you're flying blind. Tip number 3, demand layering, not a single trick content. One tactic rarely moves the needle enough when you're paying $250,000 to $2.5 million a year in total taxes. The real results come from stacking compatible strategies: entity structure, compensation design, investment tax positioning, charitable engineering, and legacy architecture without creating new problems. Layering also protects you. If one lever is limited in a given year, the rest still work. This is how families legitimately cut taxes by 50% when the situation allows. Here's an action step. Ask your current team for a written list of the top 5 strategies they would deploy in sequence, with estimated dollar impact and dependencies. If you get one idea and a shrug, push for 3 layers. What's the second move after that? What's the third? If they can't answer, you're not getting orchestration, you're getting isolated tactics. Now, if those tips made you realize you're operating without a real blueprint, that's exactly what the orchestrated tax reduction system is built to solve. You don't need more noise. You need a clear plan and a team that can execute it without stepping on each other. Quick gut check. If you had a $2 million liquidity event next quarter, would you feel prepared or exposed? Do you know in writing what you're doing about state taxes, NIT, timing, and entity structure? If the honest answer is, I'm not sure, that's the sign to fix this before the next big year hits. The best time to plan is before the income lands, not after the statement shows up. And because this work is high touch, I only open a limited number of new orchestration slots at a time. It's a lot of work. I got a life. So if you're heading into a bonus year, a sale, a vesting wave, a residency change, waiting costs you options. Here's the offer. Schedule a private orchestrated tax blueprint call. We'll map your structure, identify the biggest coordination gaps, and outline the highest leverage moves for the next 12 to 24 months. If it makes sense, I'll explain how we build your written blueprint, assemble the right specialist from the 73-person bench, and captain implementation with quarterly accountability. If it doesn't fit, you'll still leave with clarity on what to ask your current advisors and what to fix first. So, step 1, confidential diagnostic intake and document review to surface conflicts, missed elections, and structural leaks. Step 2, written numbers-based tax reduction blueprint with layered options and sequencing for the next 12 to 24 months. Step 3, build and schedule your tailor-made specialist team across tax, legal, investment, risk, business, and legacy planning. Step 4, concierge-led implementation with quarterly reviews, accountability tracking, and plan updates as life and markets change. So here's what we've covered. The tax bill isn't high because you're failing. It's high because your advisors are operating in silos. The fix is a written blueprint plus a captain who coordinates every moving part. And when the layering is done correctly, the savings can be massive and durable. Go book the orchestrated tax blueprint call. Pick a time and we'll have a real conversation about your situation. No guessing, no generic advice. If you're paying 6 or 7 figures in taxes, this is worth doing right. On the call, we'll pressure test your current setup and identify the biggest opportunities and risks. If we decide to work together, you'll get the full diagnostic review and a written engineered plan with sequencing and a concierge-led build-out of the right specialist team. Then ongoing quarterly orchestration. Pricing depends on complexity and scope because a W-2 executive with equity comp is different from a multi-entity founder with K-1s, real estate, and a pending sale. What stays consistent is the outcome focus, measurable progress, documented decisions, and coordinated execution. And I got a bonus for you. A next 18 months tax event calendar template customized to your situation so deadlines and elections don't sneak up on you. How about a second bonus? A one-page advisor alignment scoreboard you can use to keep CPA, attorney, and investment teams accountable to the same plan. Bonus number 3, a quarterly KPI dashboard that tracks implementation status, estimated tax impact, and open risk items in plain English. If you're not ready to book, at least forward this to your CPA and ask who is owning the integrated plan. You'll learn a lot from how they respond. Now, my guarantee is simple. If you book the orchestrated tax blueprint call and show up, you will leave with a clear picture of your biggest coordination gap and the next best steps for your situation. If you don't feel you got concrete clarity and direction, tell me at the end of the call and I'll refund the call fee. No debate. The goal is usefulness, not pressure. You don't need another advisor with a single idea. You need a system that makes every decision work together. Book your orchestrated tax blueprint call now while you still have time to plan before the next big income wave hits you. This is the moment where you stop hoping it's fine and start running it like a business problem that it is. And you might be thinking, my CPA's good. Great, most are. The issue is they're usually paid to file, not to quarterback a multi-specialist strategy. You might also think, sounds like a lot of work. It's actually less work for you because you stop playing translator and we run the process, and it is a lot of work for me. Or maybe it's, I don't want anything aggressive, Bruce. Same. This is about engineered defensible planning that holds up under scrutiny, not gimmicks. After this is in place, you're not bracing for April anymore. You're making decisions with visibility, how to make income, how to take income, how to structure ownership, how to give, how to invest, how to protect the family long term. Your team stops contradicting each other because there's one written plan. And you get the calm that comes from knowing somebody is actually driving. After you book, you'll get a short intake so we understand your entities, income structures, and upcoming events. Then we meet for the orchestrated tax blueprint call and map the highest impact opportunities and the biggest risk points. If we move forward, we schedule the diagnostic review incomplete. We'll gather more of the right documents, whatever's needed at that stage, and set the first implementation meetings with the specialists that you actually need. From there, quarterly reviews keep the plan current and make sure tasks don't drift. This is built for high performers in high tax states, especially, who are done with fragmented advice. The value isn't a single trick. It's the orchestration that prevents missed strategies and expensive collisions. When your tax plan, investment plan, legal structure, and legacy goals reinforce each other, you keep more, you protect more, and you move faster. That's the whole point of the orchestrated tax reduction system. Schedule the orchestrated tax blueprint call. If you're paying $250,000 to $2.5 million a year in taxes, you can't afford a disconnected team. Let's get you a written plan and a captain. And if your hesitation is, I'm busy, that's exactly why this works. You're buying back focus by handing coordination to someone who owns it. You keep control of decision. We handle the alignment and the follow through. I only take a small number of new orchestration clients at a time because the work is personal and man, it's detail heavy. If you see a slot in the calendar, grab it. Once they're gone, the next opening could be weeks out. You've worked too hard to let taxes and poor coordination quietly drain what you're building. This is about keeping wealth in the family, funding the life you want, and creating a legacy system that doesn't crumble when things get complex. When your financial world is engineered, you make cleaner moves and you sleep better. That's a win your kids will feel even if they never see the spreadsheets. Open the calendar. Let's pick a time. Let's build the blueprint.